Hello, I'm Hannah Harvey, and today I am presenting my study proposal for assessing the effects of an intensive nutrition education program on the BMI measurements of children in grades K through 12 in Massachusetts. Childhood obesity is a problem across the United States, affecting an estimated 13.7 million children and adolescents. In Massachusetts alone, 15% of children ages 10 to 17 years old have obesity. And what's truly concerning is that among WIC participants in Massachusetts, over 16% of children ages 2 to 4 have obesity. And while this particular study focuses on children in grades K through 12, this WIC statistic with 2 to 4-year-olds sheds light on the link between childhood obesity and household income. So let's explore this a little bit. Why is it important? Socioeconomic status and education level are often linked. Children in households of lower income generally have fewer resources and less support, which can result in slower progress in school compared to children with greater access to adequate resources and support. This feeds a perpetual cycle of social and economic inequality as children become adults. Less educated adults may not have as many opportunities to obtain higher paying jobs compared to adults who have more education. Statistically speaking, households whose primary income generators have less education have a greater risk of having obesity. Yet obesity is a complex problem that has many contributing factors. So, could providing children with quality nutrition education help to improve the problem? Previous research in Massachusetts has focused on interventions of longer duration with less intense nutrition education programs, for example, 1 session a week, and more narrow ranges of age groups for study subjects. To date, no research has been conducted to test the effects of an intensive public school nutrition education program of short duration among a wide range of child age groups in Massachusetts. And that's what this study aims to do, primarily focusing on low-income populations in Massachusetts. Students will be recruited from participating Massachusetts public schools in low-income regions via flyers, newsletters, and emails directed at parents, similar to the sample you see here. Sessions will be offered to students free of charge, and subjects will not be compensated monetarily or with gifts. However, incentives for parents to enroll their children in the study will include 1 hour of free after-school childcare, healthy snacks provided to the students at each session, free after-school health education, and extended after-school bus service home. Recruits must have BMIs at or above the 85th percentile, and each recruit must have the consent of a legal guardian to participate. Each student must also give their informed consent. Participants will have to be able to speak and understand English and cannot have compromised health or special food needs. Volunteers who do not meet the inclusion criteria will not be permitted to participate. The study will be conducted on-site in person at participating public K-12 schools throughout Massachusetts, serving diverse, low-income populations. Sessions will be held in classrooms after school dismissal. Participants' height and weight measurements will be collected individually in the nurse's office by trained research team members. A randomized controlled trial will be conducted with 1 intervention group and 1 control group. Ideally, there will be a minimum of 105 participants in each group, with a minimum of 210 participants total. This sample size was calculated using G-Power software using a t-test to compare the difference between 2 independent means. Given an effect size of 0.5, an alpha of 0.05, and a power of 0.95, a minimum of 210 participants would be necessary for this study to produce significant results. The intervention group will receive 8 weeks of nutrition education after school, while the control group will receive 8 weeks of hygiene education after school. There will be 5 sessions per week, with each session lasting 45 minutes. The control group will receive hygiene education for the same amount of time. Height and weight measurements for all participants will be obtained before the start of the study to calculate baseline BMI. The nutrition education intervention is designed to model after the Kids Cafe program, which was tested on a group of food insecure 9 to 12-year-olds in Houston, Texas in 2018. The program did not produce significant results in the pilot study. However, this may be due to a number of factors, including its low intensity of only a single 1-hour session per week for 6 weeks. The content of the Kids Cafe program does seem promising, however, covering My Pyramid, which will be supplemented in this research study with My Plate, fruits, vegetables, grains, protein, calcium, breakfast, and healthy snacks. In this research study, the intervention will model after the Kids Cafe program, but will include 5 times the number of session hours in just 2 months. This means children will be exposed to the information more often compared to the past study's intervention and will receive more in-depth instruction on each topic. After the conclusion of the 8-week education program, height and weight measurements will again be measured for all participants to calculate final BMI. The data will be analyzed using paired 2-sample t-tests and independent 2-sample t-tests. The paired 2-sample t-test will examine the BMI of the intervention and control groups independently, and the independent 2-sample t-test will examine the mean BMI of the intervention and control groups altogether. Ultimately, the presence or absence of changes in BMI will determine the possible effect that the 8-week intensive nutrition program has on this population of low-income children in Massachusetts. It's important to note the safety precautions that will be taken in this study. Children's BMI measurements will be obtained by trained research team members before the start of the intervention to ensure they meet eligibility requirements to avoid unnecessary or unhealthy weight loss. Children's BMI measurements will again be taken after the intervention to assess for any changes. Where the intervention will take place in a short amount of time, just 8 weeks, weight and BMI measurements will be assessed to ensure a safe rate of weight change. Research team members will alert parents to any suspicions or evidence of children's compromised safety. Additionally, no children will be left alone, nor left alone with one adult. 2 members of the research team will be present for all interactions with an individual child to ensure accountability, proper conduct, and child safety. All children will be protected from shaming and/or stigma of any kind throughout the research study. Any participants or research team members that fail to comply with the rules and regulations of the study will be disqualified for participation. Participants' height and weight measurements will be collected individually in the nurse's office by trained research team members and kept private from other participants and any outside parties. Participants' information will be coded for anonymity, and participants' private information will not be shared with any parties outside of the research team. Their identities will be concealed behind assigned identity numbers, which only the research team will have the ability to decode. Identifying information will not be released in any report, and data shared in the report will be non-identifying and will not be traceable back to participants. The findings of this research will provide valuable information regarding the effect of a short, intensive nutrition education intervention on low-income children's BMI measurements in Massachusetts. It will further test the Kids Cafe style program using a higher intensity format. The results will inform future research in this area and will ideally lead to the development of effective and cost-effective methods of preventing and reducing childhood obesity among low-income populations in Massachusetts and ideally beyond. Ultimately, this study will fill in gaps of knowledge that could lead to interventions to improve health outcomes of the participants and similar populations. Thank you for your time, attention, and interest, and I'll now be happy to take your questions.